which is that they hope that they can get the balance of power. They claim that there is a 0.6% uniform swing against the existing government, and they're able to win seats like off Labor from Griffith in Queensland, the far northern New South Wales and around sort of Byron Bay of Richmond, knock off 2 in the ACT and get the old seat of Wills in Victoria. Wasn't that Bob Hawke's seat at one? Anyway. They're also suggesting that they would go after the central Brisbane seat for the Liberals, Ryan in Queensland, also Higgins and Kooyong in Victoria. If all of this happens, then, well, we would be in a wonderful place where the Greens would be ultimately in charge of everything. Joel Fitzgibbon pushed back a little today.
Well, I think it would be humorous, Paul, if it wasn't so serious. A hung parliament which gives the Greens greater power would be a disaster for regions like the Hunter Valley. What we need is just the opposite. We need a strong government with a mandate to act decisively on climate change in a way that doesn't do harm to our economy, and therefore in a way that gives the policy continuity.
Now, Nick, if only there was some experience of a bloke who worked in a Prime Minister's office that was propped up in part by a Greens vote and a minority. How did that work out for your old boss, St Julia, as you called her a couple of weeks ago?
Well, look, I laughed out loud when I heard the Greens election strategy reported on in the news today, because, yes, I worked in a hung parliament in a government that was propped up by Green support. And I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies, to be honest with you. Like, it's not a good way to govern. Joel Fitzgibbon's got it absolutely right. What people want is a strong government with appropriate checks and balances in place. I think one thing we can take some comfort from, though, is that if the Greens continue with this message of vote for us and you might get a hung parliament, we can be guaranteed we won't get a hung parliament, because no one's going to be voting for the Greens even Greens voters aren't going to vote for the Greens with such a stupid message. To begin with, it sort of it requires you to think deeply about what the next parliament might look like, what the composition might be, and there's just too much explaining that is required to get that message through to people. If I was the Greens, I'd go for a tried and true message, which is about, hey, who knows who's going to win the next election, but vote for us and we'll keep the bastards honest. Most Aussies would go, oh yeah, we do need someone to keep the bastards honest, and if the Greens reckon they can do it, we'll give them a shot.
But hang on, look, my view is Greens go last in every seat all the time, right? That's the game. That's it. Because, Mark, the strategy here, right, is if we can win 9 seats, we can run the country. Now, you need 76 to become a government, but they're openly saying if we are just the last couple that gets a Labor government over the line, then we run the show. That's a distortion of power, right?
Yeah, of course. The Greens are trying to hold Labor hostage in the future, but Paul, the main thing going against the Greens winning any seats, maybe any more than 1 or 2, is the policies that they believe in. I can tell you here in the New South Wales Parliament, there's a Greens bill before the upper house that will jail parents for telling their kids, you've misbehaved, you're grounded and you're denied your pocket money this week. A criminal offence for parents being parents and putting boundaries around children. I mean, this is as wacko a proposal as you'll ever get. I had to sit through budget estimates where the Green MP was saying the big thing we need in Western Sydney is heat refuges because of climate change. Heat refuges are the coolest, mildest summer anyone can remember, now completely flooded out. The Green answer to all this is heat refuges. Well, I explained to her, we've actually had those for a long while. It's called air conditioning. And the main threat to our heat refuge with air conditioning is the fact you want to close down the coal-fired power generators in New South Wales yesterday and plunge us into blackouts with no air conditioning at all. So these people are loopy, they're loco. You've only got to look at their policies for a nanosecond to realise that no sensible person could vote for them.